is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Sky Tour Radio here on KGRARadio.com. I'm your host, Mark D'Antonio, as usual, here with my new and improved, I say that as a joke, she's doing very well, co-host Amanda Curran. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
I'm well, Mark. How are you?
Just fine. You know, I have to tell you, your astronomy knowledge has really increased over the last few months. And both Daryl and I, who's also here in the background. Hey, Daryl.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Mark. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Daryl.
Amanda's brain is getting bigger by the day. She's laying astronomy facts on me on a daily basis.
Isn't that something? Yeah, she does. And she doesn't hang back and just stay quiet like a mouse in the background now. She actually jumps right in and starts offering up stuff. And she's not usually incorrect at all. She's usually right on point. So I'm very impressed. You know, it goes to show you that astronomy is something that really is exciting to people. They love to learn about it. And her famous...
It shows what fine teachers you both are.
Well, never mind that. I mean, sure, you got to have good teachers. We agree. But if you didn't have the interest, no fine teacher or not could have imposed any kind of knowledge inside your brain if you didn't want to hear it.
That's true.
So you want to hear it, you want to learn it, and the people that do want to learn astronomy, they are also with you on this. And it also goes to show you that there's no stupid questions. You've asked questions before that are actually very good questions. You've never asked a stupid question. And sometimes you think you are, but you have never asked a stupid question. And that's been my tenet for many years. There are no stupid questions, okay?
Well, all questions lead to teachable moments, so...
That's correct. That's true.
So as long as you look at it that way, I mean...
Of course. I always do. Why not?
Teachers are so patient.
Yeah. As someone who's taught astronomy for a long time, I can tell you that, and done astronomy for a long time, you know, professional capacity, amateur capacity, I can tell you that every time you embark on another endeavor in astronomy, you're going to you're going to have a learning curve, no matter what it is you're trying to do, you know? So that's something that we have to, you know, consider. And so we know that learning curve can be at the very elementary beginning of astronomy, or it could be somewhere along the middle. But if you're ever really interested in learning astronomy, well, then you can listen to Sky Tour Radio here on KGRARadio.com, or you can subscribe to our companion stream, Sky Tour Livestream, which is also something that is hosted by myself, but also co-hosted by Amanda and Daryl as well. And it's a clear night journey into the wonders of the night sky, courtesy of our research-grade telescope here at the John Zach Memorial Observatory in picturesque northwestern Connecticut. Now, I will say this: have we had a show since I was out west? I don't think so, Amanda. Is that true?
No, I don't think so.
So we have to talk about that as well. But the John Zach Memorial Observatory, which makes up Sky Tour Livestream Observatory, is moving. It's moving to the Sonoran Desert out in Arizona. It's going to be 60 miles or so west of Phoenix, out in the desert. The site is 5 cleared and flattened acres, and the telescope is going to be perched right on that acreage, and it'll be a large roll-off roof observatory with room for more than one telescope. You know, that's the idea. And if we play our cards right, it might turn out that we actually end up with that being site number 2. Site number 2, where site number 1 remains to be the Connecticut site where it is now. So we might be able to get additional equipment to put out at site number 2. So then Sky Tour Livestream will have 2 operational sites.
Wow,
I think that'd be pretty cool.
It would. Hey, we'll be in the same time zone at least part of the year. That way I don't have to hurry dinner on Sunday nights.
You know what else is true? What else is true is we could start a stream in Connecticut when it gets dark first, and then cut over to the Arizona location once the Arizona darkness catches on, right?
Ooh,
Sure.
Cool. So we could have streams that
I
can
never
go.
thought about that. That's a really
Yeah.
clever idea.
What a
Right?
concept. Yeah.
We just have continuous observation of the skies for, I don't know, 9 hours. I could never do a stream that long. But you get the idea, folks.
Sure you
Skytour
could.
Livestream. Yeah, Skytour Livestream is a site where we will stream and talk to you, educate you, and enjoy your company and questions in the chat, which is always very active.
Yep.
And
We did
Skytour-
we
Yeah, go
did a
ahead.
5-hour stream the other night, and it didn't even try hard.
I know, it was like, where'd that go? It was like 5 hours. Holy cow! And we do that. We do that for everybody. We do that for the people that come. If it was just, and it was Daryl and I, and then later Amanda joined in. And if it was just the three of us, we probably would have knocked off after maybe 2.5 hours. Okay, 3. But the truth is, with everybody there, asking such great questions and interacting and asking, Amanda questions and Daryl questions and me questions, it became more of a round robin where we would go around and talk to people. So it was really very, very cleverly orchestrated, I think. My hat's off to Daryl and Amanda who were helping to orchestrate that behind the scenes. Those guys, folks, they are really cool. Daryl will go, oh, okay, and Amanda will say, well, but you know what? They're fantastic. They both are. And I'm giving them credit. And there it is right there. See? Told you.
Well,
Yeah. However, none of it could happen without the greatest audience on earth, and that's the KGRA radio audience. That's you guys. I do want to mention, too, if you ever mind, Skytour Livestream has started a GoFundMe program to actually fund the observatory out west. Now, we have other people that are going to be donors as well, it looks like, and we're going to try to also get some further donations to be able to increase the size of the building. This way, we could offer up a telescope for a college or a school anywhere in the world to connect and run the observatory for their own programs. Again, I'm all about public outreach, and that's what this would be for. So it's really kind of an educational outreach observatory fund, and that's what that money would go to, is to try and get the second and third piers in that building. But you can check it out if you want and let me know what you think. Now, Skytour Radio, going back to the radio show we're on right now, we have a call-in line, and it's hosted and sponsored, I should say, by the Paranormal app, which is found on Google Play or on iTunes. Check it out. We are going to be opening the lines a little later, as long as I am given the approval to. I believe we can do that. And the number is 85KGRA Live. Okay, that's 855-472-5483. No, it's 5483. Now, see, he keeps spelling it wrong. See that guy out there in like Minnesota? Yeah. 855-472-5483. Okay, there you go. You got it right. See, we have eyes in the back of our head, the side of our head. We can see people doing this all over the world. We're like Santa Claus. We see everything. So Amanda or Daryl will put that number in the chat for you later. But the phones won't be answered until I announce that we're actually starting to take calls. All right, so calling early won't do any good. So give us a call if you have any questions when we say to go. And right now where I want to go is into our weekly feature called the Exoplanet Roundup. And this one, I'm going to start off with the state of the science. As of September 12th, 2019, we have 4,055 confirmed exoplanets around other stars. Okay, and there are an additional 2,420 left to confirm from the original Kepler mission, and 877 left to confirm from the K2 follow-on mission. You may remember that the Kepler Space Telescope was up in space, and then it had an engineering issue, and they had to shut it down for a while. But they managed to re-engineer it and bring it back to life. Well, that re-engineering program allowed for a supplementary mission to continue, and they called it K2. But it was the same telescope up in space. Nothing changed other than the fact that they recalibrated some spinning wheels to account for the sun's energy impacting the entire satellite. And they use that as part of the calibration methodology for star tracking. So it really was quite a cool engineering feat. All right. So, 4,055 plus 2,420 plus 877, you can see that we have, 7,000 plus, planets around other stars that could be out there. And that's just in that small Kepler mission area, which is a fist-size area at arm's length when you look overhead in the summertime sky. All right. So you can just imagine the numbers are only going to increase. We do suspect that there are more planets than there are stars in the universe. And I think that's a really interesting fact, because I remember when there were people that said there are no other planets other than ours. And that was as ludicrous to me then as saying that we'll never, ever have, cars that can drive by themselves. Yet that's right around the corner, along with big trailer trucks that can drive by themselves, which are already in testing, by the way.
Golly, imagine colonies, imagine whole new species, imagine let's call it a federation of planets.
Okay.
So the future's bright.
Yeah. And, now I understand. See, there's a lot of thought processes on intelligence and the rise of the arrival or rise of intelligence in the universe. And you have to consider a lot of things. Among the things you have to consider is that in our evolution, there are certain things that happened only one time. Okay, only one time. And I did a Facebook post that's kind of like this, and it got a lot of good reviews, actually. A lot of people thought it was very good, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I was saying in that post that there are things that have happened only once. For instance, plants getting energy from the sun, the process of photosynthesis, that mutation followed by that adaptation for all the plants to use that process, that happened only once. It's one-time thing. So if that didn't happen, nothing today could exist as it does now. There could be no intelligent life without chlorophyll and the photosynthesis process. And so there are quite a few numbers of these one-time events. But, and people say, see, without that one-time event, look what would happen. But my response has been traditionally to those one-time events, yes, but it only had to happen once. So that's why it only happened once. Yes, there's convergent evolution. There's evolution where species, seem to approach each other's characteristics. For instance, there was a wolf that had a marsupial pouch at one point. Okay, and we know that kangaroos have marsupial pouches now. Well, that's convergent evolution. All right, and there's a lot of that, but we only see one photosynthesis arrival. There's only one time when it ever came about. So people look at that and say, that's a bottleneck. If it doesn't happen, then everything else can't happen. I agree with that. But I say that since it happened, it didn't have to happen anymore. Everything else, it was a springboard of mutations off of that one development that occurred. So it's sort of like, I can see it both ways. So life and intelligence is not a foregone conclusion. It's only a possible destination. Now, I, like most of the people in my field of extraterrestrial science, will say that they believe that life in the universe is the rule, not the exception. In fact, that's the subtitle to my book, The Populated Universe. Life is the rule, not the exception. And the bottom line is, I think that when we look for planets around other stars, as long as we keep looking for the right things, then we'll be able to find life a little easier. So those right things are oxygen and methane and some carbon dioxide. Now, if we can't see oxygen directly, the James Webb Telescope cannot see oxygen. All right, oxygen is something that's not in the infrared band where the James Webb Telescope looks primarily. All right, but if it can see methane and carbon dioxide, which it can, and it's often the infrared, it can infer the existence of oxygen in an atmosphere. And why is that? Why is that important? Well, clearly, for carbon-based beings like we are, oxygen is the source of the energy for us. And for any carbon-based being, that's going to be true. And it's also the basis of DNA. All right. So clearly, we can expect that alien beings that come from a distance will probably have some variation of DNA. Now, I think that means that there's going to be more similarities than differences between us, but we most certainly will not look the same way. Our very particular evolutionary path, very circuitous. We went into the shadows during the Permian. Okay, we arose again at the end of the Jurassic and came back out again. Now, had that not happened, had the Jurassic extinction not happened, well, guess what? Then maybe a Troodon, okay, which is the most intelligent dinosaur back then, a theropod, a meat eater. Maybe the Troodon would have ended up becoming intelligent, but we don't know. We can't say that for sure. We can't say one way or the other. However, it wasn't trending toward intelligence. Dolphins aren't getting any more intelligent. They can learn. They have some level of intelligence. We don't know where they'll be in a million years, but perhaps they will be more intelligent. Now, I don't know. It's a possibility. So the key thing here is that intelligence isn't a foregone conclusion, nor a guaranteed destination. It's just one of the possible paths, right?
Can I throw something out there?
I wish you would.
I think
hanging around.
Thank you. I think I sent you an article recently where you talk about detecting oxygen. Just as they think scientists have seen methane blooms on Mars, now some of them are saying they think they have seen an oxygen bloom on Mars.
Yes, that's right.
So what does that say?
Well, what that tells us is a number of things. First of all, we know that oxygen can be produced by geologic processes. We know that Mars has in the past created oxygen based on these geologic processes. We also know that it ends up bonding with iron compounds in the soil and rusting more. Okay? And we know that it doesn't have much of a chance in the atmosphere because the atmosphere is being bombarded with this heavy-duty ultraviolet radiation from our sun, because Mars' atmosphere is unprotected, thin as it is, unprotected by a magnetic field that will spiral these charged particles around the poles and produce these beautiful aurora borealis and aurora australis like we have on Earth. So it's not protected. So it goes down into the soil, sterilizing all of it. And, of course, it wreaks havoc on atmospheric molecules. So I would say that the oxygen bloom may very well be normal geologic processes on Mars. The methane...
Maybe it's not.
No, I know. I'm coming to that. Maybe the methane bloom that we see is from normal geologic processes as well. Both of those things can be produced that way. Okay, but the thing that's the secret here is the quantities. First of all, for life as we understand it, not as we know it, but as we understand it, okay, we can't see photosynthetic plants that are working in such a thin atmosphere and such low pressure and temperatures as we have on Mars. That would be anathema to life as we understand it. Is there a possibility there's a hardy life form out there that may be doing something a little different with its oxygen and in the cold of Mars? Yeah, maybe. But where would it be? It would probably be in the deep valleys where the pressure is the highest from the most atmosphere pressing down on it. It might be at that border zone where sometimes, like a tidal pool, it's devoid of water and then it has water. I don't mean really water. I'm using it as an example. Mars doesn't have any standing water on it. It can't. The pressure is not high enough regardless of where you go on Mars, except if you go underground.
Right.
Yeah. If you go underground, like at the South Pole of Mars, there is a very large, I think it's 12-kilometer long lake underneath the south polar cap of Mars, found by radar mapping. Now, What does that tell you? Well, first of all, it's going to be pretty chilly down there, yes, but it's liquid water because the pressure is great enough to hold it in a liquid form. Cold, nonetheless, probably very salty, perhaps. Because they might have sodium atoms that are mixing up in there too. But think about it. These are all possibilities right in our own solar system.
Yep.
And we haven't even left our solar system, right?
Yep.
You know?
Well, as one of somebody's favorite characters likes to say, life finds a way.
And what do you think?
It's a neat thought, maybe something's breathing up there.
Maybe so. So we would expect that the carbon dioxide in Mars' atmosphere would be the waste product from its breathing, and the oxygen is the waste product of the bacteria that might be there, the cyanogens, say, the cyanobacteria that are creating oxygen up there, which is basically bacteria waste, right? That's what oxygen is. So you're breathing bacterial waste. I mean, so on our planet, plankton is the primary producer of oxygen. But on a planet with no water, it has to come from somewhere else. And that somewhere else could only be things like vegetation or maybe some type of soil-borne bacteria that processes and releases at times methane and oxygen. So maybe it's one and the same life forms that are doing all of that on Mars. It is so exciting not knowing. I mean, and I had someone posted on one of my posts. They said, "My favorite words: we don't know." And I agree. I agree with her. She's right. We don't know is really a thrilling thing to say, because it shows there's so much more to learn. And once we know everything, I'd be pretty bored if we knew everything.
Absolutely.
What would I want to do? For instance, I couldn't tell you about a planet that's found on another star, the second closest star to our sun. I don't know if you're aware, but there's a star that's moving really fast through our universe and through our local space.
Barnard star?
You got it. It's only 6 light years away. It's called Barnard Star, and it's a quite famous little red dwarf star. And the star is the next closest star to us, other than Alpha Centauri system, which has a and a B component, kind of like the sun, and then C, Alpha Centauri C, capital C, is the red dwarf that circles them. It's called Proxima, and Proxima has a planet, Proxima b, little b, right? And the next one out, until we discovered the Barnard star planet, it was several light years away. But now we're looking at Barnard star only 6 light years away. And we have a planet called Barnard star B, little b, that's circling Barnard star. Now, it's 3.2 times Earth's mass, so we're calling it a super Earth. It doesn't mean it's Earth-like. It just means that it's a terrestrial rocky planet, we think. And it's orbiting the planet, but it orbits every 233 Earth days. Now, you might say, ooh, that's close to a year. And it's sort of Earth-like. I wonder, Earth size, maybe that's like ours. Maybe that's like us. The only problem with that is that Barnard star was only 1/10 of the mass of the sun, okay? And only about 2/10 the radius of the sun. And it's 0.0004 times the luminosity of the sun. Now that means on a scale where the sun is a brightness of, say, 10,000, this star is a brightness of only 4. So you can see that it's really not a very bright star. So at the distance this planet is from the star, it's exceedingly likely that the atmosphere, if there, is very, very cold, and that the planet is in glacial runaway. It's going to be a frigid wasteland. Now, that said, I refer you to our radio show on the Antarctic when we talked about a lake that was thousands of feet below the Arctic ice and was teeming with over 3,000 different types of species. Do you remember that lake, Daryl? How about you, Amanda?
I don't remember the name of it.
It was Lake Vostok.
Ah.
Okay. And Lake Vostok was really amazing because Lake Vostok was teeming with life in the absolute depth of the Antarctic cold, never seeing light for literally tens of thousands of years. So to me, that was telling me that there was an incredible, well, just like my favorite character in Jurassic Park says, Jeff Goldblum as, oh gosh, what's his name? Mine's drawing a mental blank. Ian Malcolm. He says, well, life will find a way. Well, life found a way in Lake Vostok in the Antarctic. So perhaps life can find a way deep under the oceans, if any, at Barnard Star B. Or more close to home, under the oceans that we know are below Europa. Europa's icy mantle. And Europa, of course, is a nearly 2,000-mile diameter moon of Jupiter. Or under Little Enceladus, only 310 miles across, that goes around Saturn. So life may find a way, and I think that it's possible that we have a lot more to look for than we can possibly imagine. So that all said, I do want to say that this Barnard Star planet, it was found. It was very hard to find because Barnard Star moves very, very fast through space. And
maybe we can talk about how it was discovered on the other side of the break.
Oh, I didn't even see any notices.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but...
No, unfortunately, I'm the bearer of bad news, but if you guys can hold tight, we'll have more momentarily.
You know what? Thank you very much, Amanda. And it just goes to show you, folks, I just don't know when to quit. Okay, well, we'll be right back after these words. I'm Mark with Amanda and Daryl. And Amanda, you can slap my wrist. I am so sorry. Go ahead.
Nancy Vernon here with Ozark Mountain Publishing, coming to you from the Ozark Mountains of Northwest Arkansas. We are a publisher of New Age, metaphysical, spiritual, nonfiction books, as well as digital downloads, DVDs, and audiobooks. This is also the home of all of Dolores Cannon's titles. The company was founded in 1992 and has been bringing to you a varied selection of titles covering many different subjects. This year, we have added a new imprint to our company, Big Sandy Press. They will be publishing titles from the genres of historical fiction and nonfiction, paranormal fiction, and more. So be sure to visit our website, ozarkmt.com, and explore all the new and exciting authors and titles coming your way.
For more information about Ozark Mountain Publishing or their events, call 800-935-0045. That's 800-935-0045, or visit their website at ozarkmt.com. That's ozarkmt.com.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy and gross. Bugs, I hate bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. I know. I use Orange Guard. Plus, all of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It promotes a healthier planet, and here's a bonus. Orange Guard cleans where it's sprayed. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard.
You can get Orange Guard at Ace Hardware. And listen, folks, Orange Guard is tougher than bugs, and it's safe to use. Go to orangeguard.com. That's orangeguard.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
More ways for you to make contact. Live Discord chat rooms, live talk radio, live video cast, toll-free HD phones, and coming this year, live streaming TV, giving you more ways to make contact. Your KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back. This is Mark D'Antonio with Amanda Curran and Daryl here on SkyTour Radio. We're back, and you know what? I gotta say, before the break, I just get so much into my stuff here that I just don't. Like I said, I don't know when to be quiet. I just don't. So I have to be very careful about listening to and paying attention to my timings here. But honestly, I don't give a darn. If it's good information, I don't care about breaks. I want you to hear stuff. So we'll make do. We're okay. So
Wolf's at the door. Baby needs new shoes. Somebody has to pay the bills.
That's true. Yeah, and usually usually it's me paying the bills. So man, that's no fun. I can do all of it.
I want to raise it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is definitely, we should we should all just go quiet for the next hour and see what happens. What do you think? Do you think we can do that?
I can't. I bet you can't. I bet you can't either.
I can't. I can't possibly do that.
Thank goodness for mute.
Why? Because you were on mute?
I was on mute.
Oh, you had something to say. Uh-oh. Hey, look, you know what? We're all doing a good job here. We're fine, So the thing that I want to mention too, the last thing I want to mention about Barnard Star B, that planet found around Barnard Star only 6 light years away, is that in about 10,000 years, Barnard Star is going to be closer to us than Alpha Centauri. Now that's not going to last for long because Alpha Centauri is also moving, and we are also moving. So it's just a happenstance where Barnard Star will be a little bit closer than Alpha Centauri to us, and then it'll be farther again, and so forth. But that's pretty cool. Now I have one other thing too, which is neat, and this is for all the Star Trek fans out there, myself included. You may have heard about this, but Spock's mythical planet Vulcan has been found. You remember this, Daryl? Do you hear this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Amanda, you know who Spock is from Star Trek, right?
I do.
Okay. You know he's from the planet Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do.
Did you also know that he was also from one particular star, and that what was the name? Was it 40 Eridani, right?
You may be right. This sounds familiar.
And the writers wrote that into the script. They wrote that into there. They say Spock is from 40 Eridani, actually, constellation of Eridanus. And so 40 Eridani. And so a team set out to see if there was actually any planets around 40 Eridani. And lo and behold, there was just one. And it was a very hot planet. And that's where the similarity ends. So they effectively found Vulcan, and they actually named it Vulcan.
Of course they did.
Of course they did, right? Because, hey, you know what? Science fiction often becomes science fact. Not fully, but sometimes. So they found this one planet, and out of curiosity, when they searched for it, lo and behold, it was there. Of course, not the real Vulcan. And this planet orbits its star in just 42 days. Okay? And it's well within the habitable zone for the star, and the star is a K-type star. Now, we know the spectral types, the spectral classes anyway, the stars, the letters, and Amanda will tell them to you now. Go, Amanda.
OBAFGKM.
Excellent. That's right. And as Amanda would continue to tell you, if I louder, they go from the hottest and bluest to the coolest and reddest. Okay, and this particular star is a K-type star. So it's a little cooler, a little bit smaller than our sun. But the planet is circling so close to the star, it takes only 42 days to go around that star. And so its surface is hotter than Mercury. where its current location is. All right, so it's pretty warm there. I believe the temperature of the stars, of the surface of the planet, is actually close to 3,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe it's 3,300, but that is outrageously warm, don't you think?
That's molten.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a very, very warm planet. But it's been found, and so who knows? Maybe it was farther away and spiraled closer, because that's something that does happen too. So that's our exoplanet roundup. It was just kind of fun to discuss those things. So I want to thank Amanda and Daryl for chiming in when they did on those things. But for those that know, the SkyTour Livestream Observatory is moving to Arizona, and we're moving that probably over the next few months. Now, we're hopeful and possibly it'll be that we can actually have a second observatory out there and have one in Connecticut. Might have two. We're going to see how this goes. But I went out to Arizona to look at the observatory site, and it was on this beautiful acreage out there that has been, how do we say this? It wasn't given to me because it's somebody else's property, but an agreement was reached where we can actually use this property forever and ever. And it has full electrical. It's off the grid. Everything is solar powered. The solar panels are immense, and they follow the sun. It's really quite a location. And so the observatory power will never be low, ever. With 300 clear days a year, you're just not going to get that. So I went out there and I did a stream on the SkyTour Livestream YouTube site, and you can actually watch the stream and see what it looks like. I show you where the observatory is going to go. I show you the cleared acreage. It's just a phenomenal location, and I've seen the dark sky there, and it takes my breath away. You know, I've actually photographed Orion in a T-shirt and shorts out there. Orion's a winter constellation, for those that know, and it's always cold when Orion is up. It's always cold.
Orion the Hunter.
Orion the Hunter. That is absolutely correct. So to photograph it in a T-shirt and shorts was just, I don't know. It was sort of mind blowing. It changed my outlook. I said, I'm going to do this forever. I'm promising myself that I'm going to be out here. So then when I started SkyTour Livestream some years later, I realized my end goal has always been Arizona for this telescope. Always. And that's going to be something that I see come to fruition, come to reality. And now it looks like that's happening. I did start a GoFundMe. If you want to donate to that, that's fine. But we do want to find our way out there, create the building, install the electrical, mount the telescope, and then have room for another telescope or two in the same building so that schools could access this and utilize it. I mentioned this before, obviously, but it's very important, I think, for astronomy outreach. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to put astronomy at the forefront here. When I got my degree in astronomy, we knew some things about the universe. Now we know so much more about the universe, and the more we learn, the more we realize we have much more to learn. It's crazy. So the observatory site was very just perfect. The only problem that there is a problem, and I will tell you what the problem is. The problem with the observatory site is the mice. There are mice that get into things out there. So especially a remote observatory where only the roof rolls off the building like once a day and then back on at the end of the night. Okay, but it has wires hanging down from the telescope, so all the wires, everything has to be put inside some type of duct that is mouse-proof. So that's going to be the only challenge, is trying to prevent mice from eating cables and so forth. It turns out, some of the cables, believe it or not, the insulating jackets around some of these cables have soy in them. And the mice go, hey, let's have some food. All right. Hey, guys, come over here. Yeah. Well, hey, I don't know what's in there, but boy, it sure tastes good.
Edamame.
Whoa, Frank, he bit through something and he's all lit up now. Just don't bite that wire. Yeah, it'd be crazy. So that's pretty cool. But so while I was there, I wanted to go up to Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff and try and meet with Jeffrey Hall, who's the director. And I didn't get to do that, unfortunately, because he was not around. But I just didn't set it up ahead of time properly, I guess. But what I did do was I visited some of the other places that I've always wanted to look at because of their geologic importance to our planet. And one of those was a location that is east of Flagstaff by just a few miles. And as you approach it, you can see it as it rises above the horizon a little bit. And what you're looking at is the rim of a giant impact crater. An impact crater that's 3/4 of a mile across and about 500 feet deep. It's called Meteor Crater. Go figure, right?
Also known as Barringer Crater, I believe.
Yeah, the Barringer meteorite. It was also known as the Canyon Diablo meteor impact site. All the same names. And Barringer, which is how I found out his name's pronounced. I always said Barringer myself, but I was corrected on site. And they said, "Oh, you mean Barringer?" Oh, yes, of course, Barringer. Did I say Barringer?
Learn something every day. Thank you.
That's okay. I trust me. I had to deal with it too. So Barringer tried drilling for many, many years, decades, I believe, to find the actual meteor because he thought it'd be down below the bottom of the meteor floor. Unbeknownst to him, he didn't realize that almost all of the meteor vaporized upon impact. So he never could get a piece of the meteor of any substantial size. He had estimated, like 1 million tons of material down there, and he was looking forward to some type of really vast fortune. So we invested a lot of money to find it. Unfortunately, he never did. However, a 450-pound chunk of it made it to my school, Wesleyan University, where I got my astronomy degree. And that's the meteor chunk that I might have mentioned to all of you that we one time, 3 of us decided 3 other people and me picked it up and put it on the director's chair and then went home for the weekend. And he came in the next morning on Saturday to work and found this 450-pound iron nickel meteorite on his chair, and he was furious. And he called us all at home and said, "You get your butts back in here and get this off my chair." So we all came in and took it off.
Bad astronomer, bad.
I don't know what prompted us to do it. I guess because maybe we were just blowing off steam after exams or something. I don't know. Too much time has passed to remember exactly what happened there. But I do know that in later years, when we'd mention that incident to him, a little wry smile would come across his face. So we know it didn't do permanent damage. He probably didn't want to tell us what he did when he was getting his degree. So probably just as bad. So a meteor crater was very interesting. And I also went to Sunset Crater. Now, what's Sunset Crater? Sunset Crater is actually part of what's called the San Francisco Volcanic Field. Now, there was a massive set of volcanoes that are right around Flagstaff, Arizona. And when you pull into Flagstaff, Arizona for the first time, you see what are called the San Francisco Mountains. All right, San Francisco peaks, all sitting there above you. They look beautiful, big mountains. What you don't realize is that you're looking straight at a stratovolcano. San Francisco Mountain in particular is a stratovolcano. It's tall, steep-sided, and responsible for the volcanism in that area for a million years. And it last erupted somewhere around 80,000, 90,000 years ago. And so that particular location, much of the indicators that a volcano had erupted there have been long since eroded away. However, the most recent eruptions that occurred there are much less old than that. They're actually only about 80,000 years. Oh no, sorry, not 80,000. They're only 900 years old, 950 years old, and you can clearly see that when you look at the San Francisco mountain, for instance. That hasn't erupted, since like around 93,000 years ago. One little thing that happened was that it had a side eruption, kind of like Mount St. Helens. And when this side eruption, this mountain subsided and collapsed, and there was a large eruption. And then what arose from the landscape below was this big, thick, viscous lava oozing out of the ground, out of the vent that was exposed. And then it cooled, and it became what's called a lava dome. And this now has the name of the Sugarloaf Dome in that region. You can see all these landforms, but you see there's trees on them. They look like just little mountains. You don't know that these were volcanic unless you actually look at the geologic maps and see that. So there's people with houses right next to these things and don't even realize they're right next to a very, very large volcano. So now, I guess if you want to think about the other volcanoes in the area, then we go over literally just about 4 miles away from that mountain, from the San Francisco peaks, and we find something called Sunset Crater. And Sunset Crater encompasses one other crater as a national monument. But there's a lot of little craters and a lot of former fissures that oozed lava there. There's lava fields. There's 2 different lava fields there that we'll talk about. And when you walk on these, you are basically transported back in time, because the landscape has recovered to some extent. Yes, there's birch trees here and there. There's aspens, there's pines, okay? But what's not there is vast forests anymore. There are now just barren hills covered with this black, it's called lapilli, but I'll tell you about that shortly. And think of it as volcanic soils, okay, like cinders, right? And the last eruption there happened 954 years ago. It was in 1065 AD. And at the time, there were indigenous people there, okay, Native Americans. So they saw these eruptions. They made offerings to the eruption. They didn't know any different. And there's certain indicators that show that in terms of there's lava that actually had encased corn cobs that had been offered up, and the corn cobs, of course, burned away, but the lava cooled around the corn cobs, and you have a perfect negative imprint of corn cobs in these pieces of lava. It's really impressive. So the Native Americans at the time, they, of course, probably didn't know what to make of what was happening there. But to understand what it was like, just imagine this. These people likely felt, while they were there, they likely felt a tremor in the ground. They probably likely felt this tremor. It's like, oh, what was that, right? The tremors got worse. And then a fissure opened up which started to smoke. It was in one of the fields because it was just a field of grasslands. And then when this fissure started smoking, what ended up happening was now there were these big booms, these large booming sounds, boom, and you see this giant orangey mass fly out of these fissures. And it shot up really, really high into the air, okay? The thing is, this was magma that was coming to the surface. And it was coming up really, really high because it can be thick or runny, all right? But this particular location, the magma was very thin and very runny. Now, as it was rising through the ground, through the volcanic throat there, the dike, okay, as it rose, groundwater mixed with this molten material. And while it was still underground, it was under pressure. But as it rose higher, this combo got closer to the surface, the bubbles got larger as the pressure got less. And that forced literally an explosive reaction. And so when it reached the surface, it was quite explosive. So it was a hot steam vent of molten material coming out, and it made a lava fountain. And the estimates are that the lava fountain here at Sunset Crater shot up well over 850 feet. based on study of the fall products that came down. That's 259 meters. Now that's a lot higher even than the Statue of Liberty, which is only 305 feet in height, which is 93 meters. Okay, and that happened for quite a while, long enough to coat the surrounding landscape with up to 40 feet of this very fine cinders. Now, I say very fine. This wasn't like volcanic ash. These were pebble-sized objects. I have several bags of it here that I collected. And these cinders, the objects are about the size of your pinky fingernail. Okay, all of them. And there's little smaller ones than that, and slightly bigger ones, maybe the size of your thumbs, two of your thumbs together, and any size in between. And imagine this stuff falling from a height of, 850 feet. If you're underneath that, it's not going to feel like rain hitting your head. Okay, it's going to feel like rocks hitting your head. And don't forget, they're hot. And these hot rocks coming down, all right, will probably start fires before they cool thoroughly. And so they burned away a lot of the forest, a lot of the grassland, leaving only these hills covered in this black cinder material. And again, as I said, the other term for that is lapilli. So they varied in size from a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 inch or smaller, and there were some larger pieces. There was very large pieces too. They were several feet across, and these we call lava bombs. Yeah, because they were molten when they were expelled from this volcano, and as it fell around the vent, it started making a cone, and this cone around the vent of the volcano was something that was, I should say, growing in size quite quickly. As a matter of fact, didn't take but that's maybe a couple months to grow 1,000 feet because it was an ongoing eruption, and that stuff was building up. You could see the difference daily, without a doubt. So I think that that's one of the most impressive places to go. And if you ever want to go somewhere and see what it's like to see a volcano that used to be active, this one was less than 1,000 years old. I will tell you this, though. In this region, frankly, the cycle between eruptions is about 1,000 years. So we're getting close. There might be another one. This site is not extinct. It is not considered extinct at all. In fact, in 1998, they had a number of tremors felt under the main mountain, under Sunset Crater. So, that is something that can happen, So I think that's pretty dangerous,
If I was a poor Indian dirt farmer and I saw something like that happen, I'd probably offer it my corn too.
Yeah.
And anything else I had, like any young man, take my wife, please.
Yeah.
Leave the corn, take the old lady.
Oh, that's funny. Well,
we have an active volcano here in Colorado, believe it or not. It's called the Dotsero volcano. It's a little bit west of Vail. And if you go south from here, you'll see the Spanish Peaks down in far south central Colorado. They're two great big 13,000-foot mountains, and they are the volcanic cores of, they're the lava cores, magma, whatever, of old volcanoes.
Yep.
And you get over on the other side of Raton Pass, down on the New Mexico side, and there's the Capulin volcano, great big old volcanic cone you can climb or actually drive to the top of, I believe. And there's cinder cones all over the place down there.
Yeah, the cinder cones are really interesting. Now, when I got to Flagstaff, I was stunned to find that they're actually chopping into the side of one of these old cinder cones, and they're harvesting the cinders because they use them in the winter to coat the roads because they're easier on the cars. And they work wonderfully because they're sharp, and they are definitely they're black, so they're going to warm up everything fast. Trust me,
Absolutely.
The salt in the winter destroys your car, and, as we know in the Northeast here, down in Arizona, people go, salt? Winter? Yes, exactly. But the last thing I'll tell you before we go to the break is that the kind of lava that comes out, all right, is interesting. And I'll tell you about the lava flow I walked down when we come back, because the lava flow was 20 to 25 feet thick, and it was called the Bonita lava flow. It was anything but pretty. It was very, very sharp rocks. If you fell, you'd get a very serious cut. You had to be careful where you walked because it would cut through your shoes. Okay, and this is a lava flow that was, nearly 1,000 years old. So you can see that it stayed pretty sharp through the ages, and it's not over yet. This place is probably just winding up, and it's a hot spot. So the cones pop up, and then the tectonic plate moves a little. That previous cone goes dormant for a while, and then a new one comes up, and that's probably what's going to happen here as it moves. But you know what? We got to move too, or else we're not going to make any money for KGRA. So we'll be right back after these words. I'm here on SkyTour Radio. My name is Mark. You know me. And we have Amanda and Daryl with us as well. We'll be right back. See you in a moment.
Hi folks, Ray Hobbs from KGRA Radio here to tell you about Alien Snowfest 3. It's the third annual event and it's the first major UFO conference of 2020. It takes place in historical Big Bear Lake, California. It's January 24th, 25th, and 26th, and it's 3 full days of Nick Pope, Grant Cameron, L.A. Marzulli, Nick Redfern, and so many more. Don't miss the Alien Pancake Breakfast Saturday morning with Coast to Coast AM's George Norrie and Tom Danheiser. Folks, you can join Warren, myself, and the entire KGRA crew as we are there to broadcast live on location from beautiful Big Bear Lake, California for Alien Snowfest 3. Seating is limited, so get your tickets now. The November ticket price is $129, and the price goes up the closer we get to the conference, so get your tickets now. AlienSnowfest.com for more information. That's AlienSnowfest.com.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
KGRA Radio is your interactive alternative talk media. Sponsored by the Paranormal Radio app. The KGRA rolls out its new high-definition call-in phone lines. 855-472-5483. That's 85-KGRA-LIVE. The Paranormal Radio app hotline gives our listeners the ability to call in and interact with your favorite host. Post questions for the guest. And win KGRA swag like t-shirts, books, DVDs, conference tickets, and more. Your interactive alternative talk media. KGRARadio.com. You're listening to the KGRA digital broadcast station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Hudson Valley, New York.
Hey, folks, this is Mark D'Antonio here again with SkyTour Radio. I have Amanda here with me and Daryl, and we're talking about the Sunset Crater National Monument, the volcano that's out in Flagstaff, because these volcanoes are really an impressive place to go. And you know what? They're actually witness to history, and they show us the history of the Earth. And when you're an astronomer, you are also doing Earth science. In fact, that's much of what you do. If your concern is how did the Earth get here? What happened on the Earth? How did life vary so much on our planet? Why does evolution work? What is natural selection? How does that work? And never did I see a more vivid example of this than with the Permian extinction here on Earth 252 million years ago. When the Permian extinction occurred, 98% of all life on the planet was wiped out. Now, how did that happen? Well, there was a lot of debate, but it seems, and we've talked about this on Sky 2 Radio before, it seems that these were volcanic eruptions, but vast volcanic eruptions that occurred in a location where Siberia is now. And those eruptions were impressive because of the nature of what happened. Imagine eruptions that started flooding the land with basalt lavas, okay? A large fissure opens up. We've seen this in Hawaii, and we've seen these fissure eruptions, okay? And when that happens, what the lava comes out and overspreads the ground and the area there. And then when that happens, the lava will then cool and form like a hard cap. Now, lava underneath can sometimes push through, remelt, and come through and continue the eruption. That's usually what will happen, or it spreads sideways. Well, this time, lava came out fairly fast, and it covered the ground to a large distance away from the location where the vent was. And then more came out and spread sideways and made this gigantic cap, and it literally covered itself. So you'd say, okay, eruption over, right? No, because what happened was the eruption that caused a tremendous amount of pressure to build up underneath, and so the lava trying to come up through from the bottom started pushing sideways. All right, and those features that we see in volcanoes are called sills, S-I-L-L-S, and these volcanic sills carried the lava sideways and radially out from the vent. And over the course of time, these lava-filled sills made their way to organic material that was underground, maybe a dead forest or whatever. And that caused carbon dioxide to be released when that lava hit that organic material. And when that happened, that carbon dioxide got trapped with the lava and also pushed out radially in all directions from the other around all that lava cap. Now, eventually the end of the lava cap was reached. And what happened was the lava at all sides, it exploded up into the atmosphere with all of that carbon dioxide behind it, and literally put 4 more gigatons of carbon dioxide, over 4 billion tons, instantly into the atmosphere. And it was like an instant global warming process. And, the Earth literally warmed by 27 degrees. 27. We get all bent out of shape when we see a half a degree rise in our oceans. How about 27? When water is warm, it can't hold oxygen as well. So the oceans warmed up tremendously. And over a short period of time, I think about 600,000 years or so, the plankton started dying off. And other marine life began to die off. Literally, Earth was doomed, in a sense. And if not for the tenacity of life forms here on the planet that could handle that, we would have not been here to talk about this. Earth would have been devoid of life. So, in any case, it was the reptiles which were less affected, oddly, by this event than any others. So they were able to survive and thrive. And mammals, the pre-mammals that would become us, could not. And they basically hid in the shadows. Well, the reptiles filled these niches and expanded until there was a plethora of these species. They did this tremendous diversification, and thus began, as we've said before, the age of the dinosaurs. So you can see how a volcanic eruption could really changed the course of evolution on an entire planet. So, and then oddly, that was a volcanic eruption. All right. Then it was an impact from space that changed the course of evolution on our planet once again, and that was the impact in Chicxulub with this large asteroid that struck off the Yucatan Peninsula. Dinosaurs, unable to find their food supply in greater numbers as they needed because the pall of dust thrown up into the air caused less sun to reach the ground, which caused less photosynthetic processes to be carried out. These plants died. Dinosaurs then who ate the plants died. And dinosaurs that ate the other dinosaurs that ate the plants died. And it was a chain reaction. And there was a lot of empty niches that were filled in by those mammals that were waiting in the wings all that time, those little pre-mammals. And so it was through this circuitous chain that we arrive. So what's interesting is a volcanic eruption quenched most of the life on the Earth, and then an asteroid strike, all right, brought us back to dominance. Really fascinating stuff, So speaking for one last moment about Sunset Crater National Monument, it's part of the San Francisco volcanic field. And that's just the name. It has nothing to do with San Francisco. And Sunset Crater is just one of a couple of volcanoes that are tied into the National Monument, but there's many cinder cones there that you can see from the road, and as you walk, you can walk on these mounds of thick ash and cinders. They'll get in your shoes. They'll get inside your clothes. Don't fall down. You'll get abrasions. And if you walk in the lava field, make sure that you wear good boots, because if you hit your ankle on one of those sharp outcrops, let me tell you, you will be screaming for your dear life. It's really, really painful. As I said, Sunset Crater's not done. In 1998, like we mentioned, a number of tremors rocked the mountain, letting everyone know that Sunset Crater and its adjoining volcanic field may not remain silent forever. Now, going back to the asteroid strike that allowed us to become dominant again, the parallel to that, to me, is Meteor Crater. Now, Meteor Crater was not an impact that was remotely environmentally challenging for the life forms at the time. At the time that the iron-nickel meteorite struck in the eastern plain, it's the Colorado Plateau, over in east of Flagstaff, it was a grassland with trees, and it was a wetter area. It was like 50,000 years ago during the Pleistocene epoch, right? So there was a lot of forest and grassland. So today it looks like barren desert. It wasn't always that way. Now, the animals that were there at the time were creatures like the woolly mammoth and the giant ground sloths. Those were the biggest animals at the time. All right, dinosaurs long gone, of course. And as an iron-nickel meteorite, this thing was 160 feet across. That's 50 meters in diameter. And this is something people don't understand. The impact energy when it struck was approximately 10 megatons. Now, a 1 megaton nuclear blast would wipe out everything for 3 to 4 miles around you. All right? I mean, it would fuse the ground to glass for 3 miles around you in every direction from the point where it strikes. 1 megaton. This was a 10 megaton impact blast. All right? And it literally made a crater that was almost 3/4 of a mile or more across and 500 feet deep. And that 500 feet, it's going through rock, and it reached the bedrock, and it went beyond that, this meteorite. And most of the meteorite vaporized, meaning that the temperature at the time was thousands of degrees on impact. And when it struck, it fractured so much rock strata, and quartz materials in the rock show shocked grains, as they're called, which indicate the impact. In fact, that was one of the clinchers which proved it was actually an impact, because for the longest time, people said it was volcanic in origin. I mean, look around. there were other volcanic craters all wherever you looked, in that region, but they all looked very different. So it was kind of an odd finding that they found this thing was an impact. But the other thing that's really odd is when you go there, and I really insist that you do. It's great. So I'll sit and wait. Go ahead. I'll wait. The rocks, remember, are laid down in a sedimentary fashion, okay? So as you would expect, the oldest are at the bottom, the most recent on the top. But here at the crater, the rock layers at the rim are inverted. The oldest ones are on top, and the youngest are at the bottom, effectively, okay? And that's actually basically saying those are flipped over. And as rocks that are flipped over, these massive rock blocks are broken and fractured rock. It's called inverted stratigraphy. So if you do get a chance to visit that, I would definitely do so and check it out. Now, one of the things that we discovered was that erosion is slowly filling in the crater. It was actually 150 feet deeper, but the sediments on the side of the rim have been falling into the crater, and you can see these radial streaks down from the side of the crater where the material has been falling down and sliding down and going into the bottom. And so that's kind of how that works. Now, the process that made the crater is really fascinating. So the question is, and I put this out to Daryl and to Amanda and to all of you, what happens when a meteor strikes? What's the first thing that happens? And I take, if you guys want to weigh in on that, I'll let you mention anything you like. Daryl or Amanda.
On what it hits.
That's exactly right, and it depends on what it's made of too, right? Yeah. So this was made of pretty much the densest stuff there is. Nickel, iron, nickel meteor. So fairly dense. So the first thing that happens when it strikes the ground, of course, is that it penetrates into the ground and it starts to fracture the rock underneath, right? And as it does, it heats up, and all of that energy of motion is translated into energy of heating. And so that explains why most of the meteor was destroyed on impact and vaporized. Hard to believe that something that dense can just get vaporized. But there are forces that are unbelievably beyond your understanding and control. All of ours, not just yours, mine too, we haven't seen the forces like that in our day-to-day lives that could actually do this kind of thing. We just haven't seen that, So after a meteor strikes, what happens is it makes what's called a transient crater. It makes a crater that's temporary. It's a transient crater. And that's an initial, it goes to an initial depth where it carves out this massive hole in the ground. And that's before the shock waves do their work. Then when the shock waves radiate out from where the meteor struck, well, then the rest of the ground around it's getting rattled and basically liquefied. And then it can come waltzing back into the center of the crater and start filling it in a little bit. Now, in big craters like we see in the moon, we get complex craters. That is, craters that have a central peak that goes, and points up in the center of the crater. We see craters with rings in them. These rings are the result of this complex interaction with shock waves that are moving around as the meteor strikes. All of this stuff happens in just the first minute or so of the impact. It's not like this takes weeks to happen. The way that the topography of the crater, the way it looks, is all set up in the first few seconds to a minute of the impact event. So that temporary crater becomes the final crater. I wrote a program that actually calculates how deep a crater should be, depending on what is impacting and what it's hitting and so forth, and the angle it strikes. Now, this is a little test question that I like to give out as fun. It's fun. What shape is the crater when you have a meteorite that comes straight down and hits the ground? Okay, Daryl, you know the answer to that, right? When it's straight up, comes straight down into the ground, what shape is the crater?
Round.
You got it. Yeah, a very good guess too, right? It makes perfect sense. But now, Amanda, if it's a shallow angle, let's say you're coming in at a really, really shallow angle, kind of like the angle of a skipping stone on water. Can you tell me what shape the crater would be at that point, Amanda, if it strikes the ground at high speed?
Now, was that a clue, or was that to throw me off course?
Amanda, I care all about you very much, so I'm not going to say anything to embarrass you here.
Would it be flat?
Well, I mean...
Well, I was going to say it would be angled.
Okay.
Maybe like a triangle.
Okay, let's say like an ellipse, say. You want to say like an elliptical crater, right? Because it comes in a shallow angle, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the common expectation. But if you actually look at the way a skipping stone goes on the water, every time the skipping stone, which is traveling at a very shallow angle across the water, every time it strikes the water, it makes circular rings, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. There's no elliptical rings in the water. So what that's showing you is that the energy being transferred from that shallow moving body over the water is transmitting energy in a radial pattern, a perfectly circular pattern everywhere it strikes. So we can expect that meteors would do the same thing. So even at a shallow angle, the meteor would actually make a round crater. What would change is the distribution, perhaps, of the ejected material. There might be more material on the side facing away from the impact. That is, if it's coming in from the left at a shallow angle, strikes the ground, then maybe some of the debris that shoots out would be, piled up more on the right. And that's something we see with skipping stones. As you skip a stone across the water, you'll see that you'll have a circular ring form, and then a little bit of water splashes out and follows the stone a little bit and goes down. So we can have an ejecta pattern, that is ejected material from a crater, that goes in the direction the meteor's moving, all right, but still get a circular crater. And that throws people off, especially with these lunar streams, on P&K Space Imaging with Paul and Keith, when they do that marvelous stream. We can see that craters are round, yet we can see that the ray structure is not always symmetric around the crater. It is around Copernicus, it is around Tycho, but it's not around Kepler, okay? It's not around some of the other craters on the moon. It's actually elongated and sometimes goes hundreds of miles long in a really strange straight pattern, which shows that the ejecta went along in a very straight pattern, a straight line away from the crater.
The Messier craters on the moon are a good example, and it looks like the asteroid, the meteor, whatever, actually bounced once before the second impact. And there are occasional elliptical craters on the moon. One of the Messiers being an example. There are a few others.
Yeah, and they form for slightly different reasons. And they form as a result of bounces. And bounces tend to drag a crater out. That is when a crater is made by a meteor that doesn't destroy itself on impact, where it doesn't have enough energy to do that. It can bounce along and drag along a little bit of the surrounding landscape with it, and that's what happens. So those are special cases that do have to be discussed. That's a good point, Daryl. But see, the thing that's interesting is, here on the planet, on our planet, if you have Google Earth and you want to really kill some time, and I mean lots of time, look up the impact crater overlay for Google Earth. It's a database, rather complete database, of all the impact craters on the planet. And it shows you all the ones. Some are visible, some are now not visible anymore because of the fact that the land has been evolving over time. And you can see the impacts. And you'll be surprised to see how many hundreds of impacts are still visible out of what had to have been thousands, hundreds of thousands of impacts that hit the Earth. Take a look at the moon. When the moon was having that many impacts and it eventually cooled, well, the Earth also had that many impacts and eventually cooled. The Earth looks somewhat like the moon in its early history. But then with erosion and plate tectonics and an atmosphere, an active, very dynamic atmosphere, it changed the surface. It changed the face of our planet. Most of those craters were buried and lost forever. Can you imagine? I mean, up near up where Amanda, not quite where Amanda is, but like up in Canada, there's a reservoir that still retains the shape of the meteoric impact that caused it.
Manicouagan.
You got it, Manicouagan Reservoir. And, there we have Meteor Crater down in Arizona. In the middle of China, there is actually it might be Russia. There is an absolutely gorgeous, perfectly round crater. It's much bigger than Meteor Crater, but it's very, very clear and very obvious. Absolutely crazy, Now I want to just pause for a moment to see and ask Amanda if there's any questions out there from anyone, because I really haven't taken time to answer questions. I'd love to. So if you can, I'll be happy to answer them now. Amanda, do we have questions?
Not really any questions coming in, just people discussing what we're talking about.
Oh, I thought we had some questions. I'm sorry. No big deal. No, it's all right.
When you were talking, it made me think of a question, but it's kind of off the topic, so I don't know if I should ask it or not.
You should ask it because look at it.
It's a very basic question. I'm sure we've covered it, but I just want to clarify it again.
Yeah.
When you were talking about like all the craters that hit Earth and how similar it is to the moon when that first got hit by craters and stuff, or meteors.
Yep.
And how similar they were. Why couldn't life have evolved on the moon way back when? Well, I know it's a basic question that we've covered before, but I mean, if it's, I know it's tidally locked to Earth, but it's got to be in the habitable zone, right? I know it's missing elements, but was it really just elements brought by meteors? Was it really just luck of the draw where the meteors went? No.
No, but think about this. No, because Earth got hit with probably more meteors than the moon in its early history as well. Because the early bombardment era wasn't just restricted to the moon. The Earth wasn't sitting here going, ha, you're getting punched with all these craters, all these meteors. It happened everywhere, in the universe, the local solar system anyway. But no, to answer your question, what's the biggest key thing? And this is a question for you, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
See, what's the key thing that life needs to survive? Name one.
An atmosphere.
Very good. An atmosphere.
Oxygen.
Yeah. Now.
Well, for us. For us.
That's correct. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so an atmosphere. Let's say that.
Okay.
Now, as far as you know, did the moon ever have an atmosphere?
As far as I know, no.
Okay. Well, you're correct.
Did it? Okay.
It never had an atmosphere. Technically, there are some sodium atoms that form some type of a really tenuous, I won't even say atmosphere, but they tend to cling in the area around the moon. But it's not an atmosphere. So without an atmosphere, then life would have to have developed that didn't require an atmosphere, right? And that's something that is beyond our understanding. We need oxygen. As carbon-based life, we need oxygen to process and create energy, all right? So that's something that is very important to us. That's something we can't seemingly alter. I don't think we could ever adapt human life to somehow be able to handle the existence and be in a vacuum. We developed under an atmosphere as a species. The pressure on us, on average, is 14.7 pounds per square inch. If you think about it, if you look at your hand, the back of your hand, and make a little inch symbol and a square inch symbol on your hand, there's 14.7 pounds of pressure pressing down on you. Yeah, you don't feel it. You can jump up and down all day long. Yay, I don't feel the pressure. That's because you're within it and you were developed within it. You evolved within it. But go to the deep ocean where creatures have evolved in 5,000 pounds pressure per square inch. They're swimming around just fine. We go down there. If we took off our spacesuit or left our submarine, we'd get squished and crunched and dead because they evolved there. We did not. So it's natural for them to be like that. It's not natural for us to be like this, to be like that. So,
well, I mean, it didn't have to be life like us, but I mean, why couldn't?
Well, it comes down to processing energy. I don't think that there's any form of life that's carbon-based, like we are, that could exist in a vacuum, because we do need that precious oxygen. We'd always have to be like little turtles carrying our environment on our back.
But wasn't it? Okay, I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Sorry. Wasn't it? I guess chemicals or elements brought by the meteors that created our atmosphere?
In part, but we also had volcanic eruptions that spewed a lot of steam into the atmosphere. We had a very dense atmosphere for a while. Actually, as dense as Venus' atmosphere is now.
But there's volcanoes on the moon.
There were, but the moon also has far less gravity and can't retain an atmosphere. It's small, so it's unable.
So that's just it. The gravity of the moon is what's preventing it from having an atmosphere.
It's a huge role, yes. You know, and if you want to ask more of those questions, I think we can do that right after we come back from this break.
Ooh.
But we'll see you guys. And by the way, we're going to open the phone lines when we come back. Amanda, if you want to put
I will
in the chat, thank you so very much. And we will listen for the phone and let you know what we hear, and we'll get right to you. This is Mark D'Antonio with Amanda and Daryl. We'll be right back on Sky Tour Radio here on KGRA Radio. See you later.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Redfern and you're listening to Sky Tour Radio with Mark D'Antonio on the KGRA network, and so are the Men in Black.
Expand and your perception of reality.
These guys are the best. Yeah.
KGRARadio.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to SkyTour Radio. It's Mark here with Amanda and Daryl. And during the break, we were looking and saw some questions come in. Amanda, did you have a few questions in the chat that came in? I guess I was jumping the gun earlier, but I think we do have some.
Yeah, Jacob asks, when you were talking about the gravity and like the fish that are below us and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jacobs asked if the fish comes up from 5,000 feet deep, would they die from the bends?
Well, Jacob, that's a very, very prescient comment because, in fact, they do. When they brought up these very delicate creatures from the deep ocean, they tried to put them in canisters to maintain that pressure. But if it doesn't work, then all of a sudden the fish, which is used to feeling 5,000 pounds per square inch all over its body, now it's feeling only 14. It literally just explodes. And it's not a pretty sight, but unfortunately it does happen. So, yeah, that's true. They will be jellied like that if they come up like that from deep. So they evolved there, and that's their realm. They're in very stratified layers underwater rather. So like deep ocean fish, like the angler fish down there, they don't come up to like 300 feet once in a while and then zip back down to 4,000. They stay down below and don't really ever stray very far. Excellent question. Are there any more out there, Amanda?
Yeah, well, this might be a little specific. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but Lib wanted to know if you had a chance to look at the ISS video.
Oh, Lib, sorry. I have not.
One.
Yeah, he actually asked me, he or she, I don't know if Libertas is male or female, I'm sorry. All these... Huh?
He, I believe.
Okay, he sent me a video to look at. I have not looked at it yet. But thank you for sending that. Thank you for reminding me of it.
Now, Daryl had a story about the ISS.
I want to hear, see, that's an excellent segue. I want to actually hear Daryl's story. I was trying to find a way to go into it, and I was hoping that Libertas commentary would lead to it. I'm sorry, Libertas, I haven't seen the video. But now, let's hear from Daryl, because Daryl has a really cool story to tell us.
Okay, hi everybody. You may have heard me talk, or you may have seen elsewhere, that Jupiter and Venus have been coming together over in the southwest just after sunset. I have been watching it every clear night, and they say that they're closest together tonight. Unfortunately, it's late enough now that you're going to have to wait till tomorrow to take a look if your weather cooperates. But I was looking tonight earlier, and it was beautiful. And I was looking last night, about 5:20 p.m. my time. Here were Jupiter and Venus very close together over in the southwest. Beautiful sight. And then about 2 handspans to their upper left was the planet Saturn. And I'm just out there enjoying the view. And suddenly I noticed what looked like another bright star-like object down between, below and between Venus and Saturn. And I watched it, and I noted that it was moving. This isn't my first rodeo. I figured it had to be the International Space Station. I stayed and watched this thing until the pass was over. It came up out of the southwest. It passed so close to Saturn, it almost covered Saturn. And then it kept rising toward the northeast, and the higher it got, the faster it was moving, and the brighter it became. It passed, it was very high in the southeast, not quite straight overhead when it was at its closest, and it was almost as bright as the planet Venus over there after sunset. Now, Venus is the brightest thing in the sky after the sun and the moon. I mean, it's really bright. And this object rivaled that. It finally winked out over in my northeastern sky. And as soon as it was over, I came running inside. I got on the web and ran for ISS checks on Heavens Above, and yes, I had just seen an ISS pass, space station pass.
Wow.
It was just absolutely beautiful to see. And when it winked out up in the northeastern sky, that is when the space station entered Earth's shadow. You know, it went from brightly lit, and it's just like you flipped a switch and it went out. It faded out quickly. Absolutely gorgeous sight. And that was just like the cherry on the cake, you know, the icing, cherry on the icing on top. I had not been expecting it at all, but it was just, you know, it was pure bonus. It was beautiful to see. And again, it's too late tonight because Venus and Jupiter have set already. But if you go out and look tomorrow night, the next few nights are still going to be close together. And the moon will be joining them next week. And that should make for a really pretty view, too.
Some nice photography for those either amateur photographers or professional photographers. There's nothing like having a young moon coupled with a couple of planets in the sky. It really is a beautiful sight. And actually, you make calendars out of pictures like that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's cool.
A beautiful view. Yeah.
Wish I saw it. I missed that. You know, I had rain here. It's clearing tonight, and that maybe after the show, if it's clear, I will do some streaming. But if not, I'll be disappointed. But anyway, so Amanda, we got any more questions, or are we covered on questions for now?
Questions are good. We do have a caller.
Awesome. Let me go over and see what we got here. All right. All right, let's take a caller here. So here we go. Hey, caller, you're on the air. This is Charles in Ohio. This is Mark with Amanda and Daryl. How's it going?
Hi, Mark. Hi, Amanda. And hi, Daryl.
Hi, Charles.
Mark,
How are you?
I really loved your essay that you did.
Hello,
on
Charles.
Facebook the other day. It might have been today. It was really clear and concise, and just well done. Excellent work.
Hey, Charles, can you turn down your volume for a moment because it's actually interfering?
I thought I killed it. All right, I thought I killed it, and I didn't.
No
now,
worries.
there it's better. So, what I wanted to bring up with you, and I've been wanting to for a while. Hang on just a second.
Hey, go ahead. Unfortunate delays. You know how it happens,
Okay,
folks. You know,
I think
delay
we're
in
clear now.
broadcasting.
I'm so sorry.
Welcome to
That's
live
all right.
radio.
That's right. Welcome to live radio,
Okay.
as Amanda says.
Okay, yeah. What I wanted to ask you about was, what do you think of the idea of panspermia?
That's very interesting. You know that because when we look at all these things that happen here on the planet, we look at the evolution that occurred on our planet, we often do wonder, well, since we know that there are some life forms that are pretty darn hardy, like tardigrades, okay? These small little, they're called water bears as well. I mean, they survive using a process called cryptobiosis, where they hibernate, you know, for up to 50 years. And then add a little water and they, boom, now they're back to life. So the tenacity of life has always impressed me. So is it possible, I've often wondered, that life could have been delivered to us? Maybe it was blasted off another planet where microbial life was at one point and survived the journey through the void from that planet here in our solar system to our planet, and then crashed to our planet, and somehow they could survive if they were inside a meteor. Maybe they survived. Who knows? But I do know that for such a thing to happen, it would really, really have to be a fairly unique event. And here's why I say that. I'm not saying it can't happen. We know that the impact energies of meteorites, when they come through our atmosphere, meteorites can hit the ground at many thousands of miles an hour. And when they do, they tend to transfer all of that kinetic energy, that energy of motion, into heat. And unfortunately for life, that's a sterilizing heat. It's a very, very high heat. It melts, you know, iron at those temperatures of thousands of degrees. So I don't know any life forms or organic material that could survive that. So it'd have to be a very special type of an impact. It'd have to be one where a meteor was coming in that had organic material that might then seed life here on Earth. But it would have to hit the atmosphere in such a way that a piece that survives to the ground is small enough that it can still contain some organic material that maybe breaks out when it hits the ground, but doesn't melt as it's coming through the atmosphere. So it's a very narrow window of opportunity. But is panspermia impossible? No, not at all. It actually would be easier to believe that panspermia was induced by some extraterrestrial species coming here and landing on our planet in a more controlled way and leaving something that was life-bearing on our planet. And that would actually be more plausible than, say, a meteor. So I think that panspermia has always been on my head as a possibility, a natural panspermia. Like if a comet were to collide with our atmosphere again, like it did with the Tunguska event, when a comet hits the atmosphere, the first thing that happens is it starts to heat up, and it starts to ablate. It starts to fall apart. And then as it reaches a certain height above the ground, depending on its impact angle and depending on its speed, it's going to actually be quite energetic, and it's going to actually explode. And when it does that, it's going to be very difficult. All right, and so did that. Now, if we think about this, would that negate the possibility of life? Well, when it explodes, that's where it slows down dramatically. Maybe some chunks would survive and get to the ground intact. In the Chelyabinsk meteor that struck recently, just a few years ago, in Russia, it made this tremendous shockwave as it entered our Earth's atmosphere, and it just did disintegrate. And a piece of it, about a 20-foot wide piece, did make it to the Earth, and it landed in an icy lake and poked a round hole right in the lake surface and the ice, and went to the bottom. It was since recovered. Now, had there been organic material inside that meteor, then guess what? Panspermia might have actually occurred right then and there, and we would never know it unless we could look inside the meteor and see, hey, this actually was something that came from Mars, blasted out by an asteroid impact on Mars or something. In the early solar system, that would probably be something plausible. Right now, I don't know that anything like that would happen unless it was generated by an extraterrestrial entity. Yeah, you know what I mean there, Charles? I think you're back with us now. You had gone for a minute.
Yes, I am. I'm happy to be back on one line.
Yeah. So
can I jump in there?
Of course. You are a happy triumvirate here at Sky Tour Radio.
Well, I've always been a believer in panspermia. I mean, we found those juicy chunks of amino acids and chunk and all that stuff out in space, and I'll imagine, put some on a carbonaceous chondrite meteorite and drop it into a lake and wait a few million years and see what happens, I think life is all over the place.
I do, and I think you're right, Daryl, and I don't disagree with that approach. I think that when we look at the fact that the Murchison meteorite had amino acids in it when it hit the Earth, when it got here, it was one of those special cases. So, in a sense, amino acids weren't life, okay? The amino acids weren't life, but they were building blocks of life.
Absolutely.
So, it's panspermia
well, there's also
1A. It's not really the full-blown panspermia.
Mars meteorite that they found in Antarctica?
Which one?
The Antarctic meteorite that had the possible fossils in it?
Oh, that's ALH 84001 or something like that. If I remember right. Yeah. Yeah, they found a meteorite down in Antarctica that they thought at the time. This was back in the 90s, if I remember right. There was a claim out that they found like fossilized bacteria or viruses inside the meteorite, and it was a Martian meteorite.
Right.
Yes.
I think they found that it was a contamination from the local surroundings, though, correct?
I don't think that's completely put to rest yet. I think they're still looking at that. There's still faction that says, darn it, it is life.
Well, and there's no reason, like I said, there's no reason that certain special cases could reach the ground from space. And
here's my question, really.
Yeah.
That I really wanted to get down to. If life develops somewhere in the universe, in our galaxy, in our general area,
yeah,
is there going to be a cross-contamination between star systems? I think it's possible. I mean, we saw Oumuamua cruise through the system.
That's right.
And it was certainly large enough to have carried something if it were there. And I'm not saying anything complex, just the very basic basis of life. So.
Well, it would have to be something that could survive the trek too in interstellar space. Dealing with the radiation, the sterilization from ultraviolet radiation coming in. So I think that's your theory's not a bad one. It's possible. And when you think about cross-contamination, I wouldn't even call it contamination. I'd call it cross-pollination almost.
Okay.
Additions of additional life coming from other worlds other than our own. We would think about it potentially as being from within our solar system initially. But it could be from some ways far out. I mean, we've already seen another interstellar interloper, as I call them, that's here. It's that comet, the interstellar comet that came through here. So along with Oumuamua. So I think that at some point in our history, they're rare. These interstellar interlopers are rare, but they could have had an impact here. They could have reached the Earth. They could have actually struck the Earth at some point. And maybe they did bring some type of alien chemistry to our planet. I don't doubt that. But so I don't deny it, Charles. I think that maybe that's possible.
I read an article a few years ago, and I've since looked for it and can't find it. It was by someone who had basically done a computer modeling of evolution of life on Earth, in the DNA complexity and so forth. And by sort of running it backward, he came up 1 billion years short of reaching a basic bottom line figure, which indicated in the methodology that he used that there was 1 billion years of evolution that we couldn't account for on Earth. And given the fact that almost as soon as the planet was capable of life, it was there.
Yeah.
Now, there are two ways that could happen. I mean, you've got, 1 billion droplets of water for that chemistry to form in, and you do that a billion times, you've got a lot of chances. But it's also the fact that it could have just dropped in.
If you think back far enough, it was when the Earth cooled off enough for the steam to turn to water, and it started raining, and it rained for a really long time,
millions of years.
And hey, all of a sudden you've got a good breeding ground right there.
Yeah, and there's another thing too, Charles, and that is that, our planet was subject to a lot of changes, obviously. So there's a lot of chemistry that happened here that took place over a long period of time, as Daryl was alluding to. And over time, our own planet developed the building blocks of life. They were delivered by comets. They were delivered by asteroids and meteors to the planet. It's like the universe has provided a template for carbon-based life on this planet. And I say on this planet, but I actually think that carbon-based life is more normal in the universe, because everywhere we look, we see this ubiquitous carbon atom at the core of a lot of life's processes. Every life form on our planet is dependent on it. Every life form on our planet has DNA. Every life form on our planet uses oxygen to process its raw materials and get energy from it. So this is something I think is a template. I've mentioned this before. All the life forms on our planet also have symmetry. They're the same left to right with the way they interact with their environment. Internally, they could be different, but the way they interact with the planet, it's all the same. It's just symmetric, So anyway, I think that's I think it's pretty important to keep that in mind. There's a lot of ways that
evolution happens on this planet, and I do want to thank you, Charles, for calling in. And I just want
to
get one more caller I want to get to.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it very much.
No, it's great. I'm glad that we had a chance to talk. So call in again. We'll be here.
For sure.
Charles.
Yeah. Thanks, Charles. We'll talk to you soon.
No, Charles.
Okay. So I think that he raises some good points. And we have another caller here. Let's take that caller. What we have next here. Hello, this is Mark and Amanda and Daryl. You're on the air with us. And who do we have here tonight? We have Air here tonight. Hold on.
Hello. This is Ronald from Minnesota.
Hey, Ronald, how you doing?
I was listening to the radio side of it, and I was waiting for you to say hello. Of course, that was a delay. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving to the Sky Tour. Thanks happy Thanksgiving to the Sky Tour radio crew, including Amanda, even though she already had hers. Yeah, and hello to Mark, Daryl, and Amanda. And
hi, Ronald.
I wanted to ask a question. And what would be the smallest size we wouldn't have to worry about an impact? Like, we see some of the ones they're talking about that are near-Earth objects. Yeah. And they're fairly large, like the size of New York and things like that. That would pretty much ruin our day if it hit us.
Yes.
What would be the smallest size that we wouldn't have to be worried about?
Well, we have to look. That's a little hard to answer because they come in at different angles to the atmosphere. They come in at different compositions. If it was a meteorite, for instance, that was made of very loosely packed material, then we wouldn't have to worry about it as much as a nickel iron meteorite that comes into our atmosphere, where much of it's going to reach the ground. If it comes in at 0 degrees to our atmosphere, meaning straight up and straight down, okay, then that's going to be more important than if it comes in at 6 degrees. I'm sorry, 89 degrees along the edge of the atmosphere, skipping along the side. Okay, so I think it's as far as the smallest, I would say that anything under 300 feet would be probably good for us. Okay, we can handle that. Above that, almost anywhere it hits on land on our planet, it's going to cause some fairly severe destruction. No extinction level events, though. Extinction level events will come with something that's maybe like a mile across or just about a mile across. In general, and there's so many factors. There's so many factors there, but you see what I mean?
That crater that you visited, what size was that?
That was 160 feet.
Okay. Yeah,
okay. And it made a crater about 3/4 of a mile in size.
Yeah. So,
but
it would cause dirt.
Ronald, on the other end of the spectrum, imagine really super fine dust grains, or maybe even getting down to stuff, the size of smoke particles. If the you get small enough and it hits the Earth's atmosphere, it may not necessarily even burn up. It'll just slowly float its way down.
Oh, yeah. That would be dirty. That'd be a lot of dust.
That's okay. I mean, most of the meteors that you see are the result of grain of sand-sized dust moving at high rates of speed. But as Daryl says, if it's not moving at a high rate of speed, then it may just be able to come down and be buffeted by what little wind there is at the altitude it comes in at, and make its way to the ground. You can actually certainly lay a sheet out in your backyard and then go to bed and come out in the morning or later in that afternoon, because it never stops falling on our planet, and go out there with a magnet and just sift carefully across that sheet. You may not even see anything, but if you go in and carefully look, you might find that some of the things sticking to your magnet, all right, or there will be things sticking to your magnet, and some of those are going to be meteoric dust from space. So you can capture some meteorites. I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
You know?
Thank you, and thank you for the call, and again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and
Saints, Ronald, thank you for calling.
Sure to talk next time. Yep. All right. Bye.
Thanks, man. See you later.
Bye.
Well, folks,
about out of time.
That pretty much wraps up our Sky Tour Radio for today, tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you get a chance, why not check out Sky Tour Livestream, our companion stream to Sky Tour Radio, and you'll find the same cast of characters there, Amanda and Daryl and I. And we will be happy to guide you through the universe and show you things that are absolutely amazing. All right, and Daryl would even tell you that, because he finds these things amazing too. He's like that, and Amanda, she's just like, wow. So we all have a good time, and we hope that you're gonna join us again. So until next time, we'll see you on Sky Tour Radio, and don't forget, folks, keep looking up.